Have you ever tried to start something new that somebody said was going to be great, like SEO, and you're like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to write all these articles, and then it just doesn't work? Well, there might be something that you're missing that everybody else knows, or at least the top players know, that you don't. And with SEO, that can be link building because you need backlinks back to your content for it to actually get seen and to start working. But how do you do link building? How do you even set that up, or where do you go? Well, I had Alan Silvestri on. He is awesome. He's with Gorilla, and what he does is he helps B2B SaaS companies set up link building so that they can get an awesome bit of quality backlinks to their product, to their content, so they can get amazing SEO results. He actually lays out the exact step-by-step on how to do this so you can go do it yourself. You're going to love this one.
Welcome to Scale Your SaaS, the podcast that gives you proven techniques and formulas for boosting your revenue and achieving your dream exit. Brought to you by a guy who's done just that multiple times. Here is your host, Matt Wallach.
Hello and welcome to Scale Your SaaS. Thank you very much for joining us. Super glad to have you here. My name is Matt, and my job is to help you scale your SaaS. That's through growing with unbelievable marketing tactics and strategies, great sales closing strategies, ways to grow your team and have other people doing this for you, and all combining that. So definitely subscribe to the show. You're going to hear all kinds of tips and tactics and strategies for doing all those fun things and scaling your SaaS. And today I am super elated to be joined by Alan Silvestri. Alan, how you doing?
Hey Matt, it's great to be here. I love the intro, super enthusiastic, and like you almost scare me there for a little bit. But yeah, glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, Alan, you are in the UK, of course, as you know, and everybody else out there now knows. But if that's the case, when I meet with somebody who's in Europe, I need to get up early. So it's 7 a.m. and I had to get up and get myself mentally ready to be energetic this morning for y'all. So Alan, let me make sure I share with the audience who you are. So Alan is the founder and CEO at Gorilla, and really what he does, he helps B2B SaaS companies promote their content to get high quality publishers to link to it. This increases traffic, signups, and it really helps you win the SEO game. And one thing I really love about Alan personally, he's a Back to the Future fanatic, one of my favorite trilogies, and he drives a DeLorean daily. So that's his real car, is what he told me, which I think is pretty amazing. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Like we go grocery shopping, so it's kind of fun every time to see people's faces when they see the car. Yeah, it's nice.
I can imagine. I would be lighting up myself. But well, super glad to have you here. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for connecting. And yeah, it's great to be here and looking forward to dive into some SaaS content promotion and growth.
That's awesome. So tell me, for yourself, what have you been up to lately and what's coming up?
So we just recently launched our own podcast for Gorilla, which is called Promote or Die, like a whole 80s vibe as well, which kind of makes sense because that's my whole obsession, right? So really happy to have finally launched this thing. It's been like I've been procrastinating for like a year, and so it's live now. We are like at episode 3 or 4 or something like that. So yeah, super glad to be doing that. And I'm also working on launching an online course later next quarter that's going to cover exactly what we do, our process and everything. So that's going to be something cool for people that maybe don't have the full budget to work with us on like a full project or monthly retainer. So yeah, I've been quite busy in Q1 this year with these couple things, but yeah, it's all exciting stuff.
Yeah, definitely a podcast keeps you busy. I know that, but it's a lot of fun and definitely a great learning experience. So kudos to you on getting that going, and good luck with it as you go. And by the way, I love that you're such an 80s fanatic. For those of you who are listening and not able to see on YouTube, he's got a bunch of posters back there, and I see a Home Alone poster. He's got a lot going on. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the book Ready Player One?
My whole obsession. And
oh, sorry. Have you read Ready Player One?
Yeah. So I read the book and I also love the movie. So yeah, I loved the Back to the Future references in there. That was a great book. Yeah. Definitely my vibe.
Yeah, for everybody out there who hasn't read that or seen the movie, Ready Player One is all about the 80s. It's futuristic. People are in the future, but they realize that really the 80s was the peak of civilization, so everyone loves stuff from the 80s, and so it's filled with all kinds of 80s great stuff. But okay, back to real stuff. Let's grow some businesses. So I know that what you're doing with Gorilla does awesome stuff with helping people grow, especially around link building and getting content promoted. But why is link building so important?
So the way that I got into link building is I have a background in affiliate websites. That's how I got started into SEO. Essentially, after working 9 years in an office job, I had a career change and I started working with affiliate websites. So I noticed specifically in more competitive spaces, the links were like the ultimate weapon, like to rank for difficult topics, you needed to actually be proactive and build backlinks. So this is how I sort of came up with my own process and framework that we do today. Is still similar. We like improved a lot of things, but it's still kind of the same process that I developed when I was working on affiliate websites. And then the other thing that kind of got me to start a link building specific agency is I saw an article by Ahrefs. There was a research study where essentially they found how 91% of all the content that gets published don't get any traffic from Google. And the number one reason that they found in this study is because the content didn't have any backlinks. So backlinks is still one of the main kind of ranking factors. So yeah, I think it's a real need and people really should think in a proactive way about it and not just treat it as like a latest kind of thing to do basically down the line, So yeah, this is how I got involved into the link building world.
I love it. So you created Growth Gorilla from that, and I'm sure that some of those early days were pretty interesting, trying to figure out how you would help people and exactly what you would do for them. Was that pretty interesting in those early times to start working with some of your new clients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think I started, it was only me doing all the work, and I found the first client on a Facebook group that was all focused on SaaS founders. So I was like, hey, I saw that you have a lot of like good quality content. I could help you with your link building for like $400 a month, so something like stupidly cheap. So obviously they accepted as like a trial. We got started. I was working for them, just me doing everything for like 6 months. We started seeing some good results. And so at that point, I was able to charge a little bit more so that then I could delegate some of the more repetitive parts of the process to one VA essentially. And this is how I got started. I was like, this is interesting. If I can do this at a bigger scale, then I might be able to start an agency. So at that point, I just was able to use the case studies and the results from the first client to find more people that were interested and that might need the service in the same kind of niche, SaaS. So the reason why I also got involved in SaaS is because my brother was already working as a copywriter in the SaaS space. And so he was telling me a few things how, for example, like most of the SaaS founders, SaaS marketers is like young people, they know what SEO is, they know what link building is. So I didn't need to do the hard sell with them. So it was very self-explanatory essentially what we do. So that helped in the beginning to get started. And yeah, got the first few results. I was able to slowly scale up with clients, get more team members. And now we are 10 people with between like 10 to 15 clients at any given time, essentially.
That's awesome. I love that story. And it's something that we can learn from several different pieces there that I want to point out. So if you're out there listening, one, when you get started, it's totally okay to charge something less than you actually will in the future. In fact, I know a few people who give away their tool, their solution, or in your case as an agency, your service for free even, just to prove you can do it, get some people thinking about, okay, this is pretty cool, and to get some great testimonials, some case studies, some awesome stories from clients so that you can use that with other clients to grow and get other people attracted to your business. And so you definitely can go in for free and, or like you said, a very cheap rate, and do things that don't scale. So obviously it wouldn't work to get 10 or 15 clients for you to do all the work on that. But initially when you get started, you have to, and you got to do some things that maybe aren't going to be the way you do it in the future, the way you do it at scale. But if you do it that way, that helps you learn the process, make sure that you're over delivering for your early clients, and you're able to get some awesome results. I love how you did that, Alan. I just want to make sure everybody out there understands that sometimes that's what you have to do when you get started. It's a little bit cheaper than you'd like, and it's not exactly as scalable, but it helps you get to that point, right?
Yeah, obviously, you need to have something to support you, right? So I did still have the affiliate website giving me some revenue. So I was able to kind of justify charging less, at the beginning. Otherwise, I wouldn't really been able to do that. So yeah, make sure that you have some kind of support so that then you can start whatever it is that you want to start, new product, new business, and you can afford to charge less essentially in the beginning.
Love it. Okay, so can you walk us through the process of building some high quality backlinks? How would somebody even do that?
Yeah, so the main thing that I like to always mention is that a lot of companies that just focus, when it comes to backlinks, they focus on metrics, So they think, we need 10 backlinks, domain rating or domain authority, 20 plus, whatever, 30, whatever is the metric. That's because there's a lot of articles out there that have popularized this notion that metrics are everything and they tell you the quality of the backlinks. That's not necessarily true. do. For me, the most important thing is number one, to exactly figure out which pages do you want to promote, right? So the reason for this is because if you build backlinks to pages that are super top of the funnel, those might bring in traffic, maybe if they rank higher, but the traffic might not have a lot of buyer intent. So that won't do like really well for your business. Okay. So for us, the main goal is to bring in more signups and more revenue for the client. So what we do first is to figure out which pages we want to promote. To do that, we start off by like defining what keywords or pages that already have some existing backlinks, some existing traffic, maybe ranking bottom of page 1, page 2, so that then we can essentially push them higher with just a couple of extra backlinks, because those are pages that Google essentially likes already, so it's typically easier to push those higher than pages that are ranking position 100 into page 1. The second thing is, once you have established which pages have some potential, they're already ranking well, you need to figure out whether these pages have some business potential. So if you have like 30 pages, then do like a short list to come up with the 10 pages that have some actual business potential, some sign up potential, some conversion, so you should have some data on that. We usually get input from the clients on this. So at this point in the analysis, we get in touch with the client and we tell them, okay, we have this 50 pages. Can you please mark like 10 or 20 of these that you think are the ones with the most business potential? Once that's done, we have this short list of pages that are already doing quite well, that have business potential. So the next step is to figure out the linkability or the rankability potential, right? So the competition, essentially. Find pages that have low competition in between the batch. So to do that, we have a look to make sure that the page is matching the search intent behind the keyword that we want to rank it higher for. That's matching the content type and that's matching the content quality. So these three things are key, essentially, to make sure that you can actually rank, because otherwise, if you're not matching the search intent, the content type, and your content is not up to par to what's already ranking, then it's going to be very difficult, even with good quality backlinks, to be able to rank in there. So once that's done, we have a list of the best possible pages to rank higher, right? So the next step is to figure out the types and the quantity of backlinks that we need. That's another 3-step process. So number one is to figure out the link gap. So how many backlinks do we need to be able to close the gap with the competition? To do this, we take a look at the average like referring domain for the top 10 ranking pages, and we also have a look at how many new backlinks these pages are building every month. So then we do this calculation that can tell us more or less how many links we need to build per month for the next 6 months, for example. Okay. Then the next 2 steps is to determine the link type. This is in terms of domain level metrics and page level metrics, because a lot of people only think about domain rating, domain authority, but they forget to remember that your link is going to be placed on an individual URL, right? So an individual page. So if the domain is very high domain rating, but the page is ranking nowhere, doesn't have any traffic and doesn't have any backlinks pointing to it, your link is not going to be as effective. So we look at specific domain and page level metric that we can use to target. Then the last thing is topical relevance. So making sure that your link are placed on pages that are relevant to your target topic and that the anchor text that's being used is relevant as well. So these are the key things that you need to do to be able to even start, right? So like before you even start doing the outreach, this is everything that you should be thinking about. Then the next step is obviously to do prospecting, find all the sites that you want to reach out to, find the email accounts, and then send out the emails to these people to convince them to link to you.
I love that. It's an amazing process. And it looks like, by the way, folks, sometimes people come on the show and they're like, yeah, here's kind of the general idea. Alan just gave you the exact step-by-step for what to do. That's pretty fantastic for him to do that. And I hope you guys have taken notes and hopefully you pause and go back. Now, it's amazing what he does, but it's also a lot. Like there's a lot in there happening. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I'll go get some links. And then you started explaining that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want, my team is like so focused on other stuff. There's no way we could do that. So that's why I would highly recommend just contact Alan and just have his team do it. It's going to be cheaper than what you can do it for and probably a lot better. But if you want to try it yourself, go ahead and give it a shot. I just would use Alan. So, but what I heard in there, Alan, a lot of good stuff. And it sounds like a lot of it starts with good content. And so do you advise your clients on some of the best things to do with their content or some of the best topics based on their niche?
Yeah, so I would say content quality is very, very important. One of the things that we look at in the road mapping process to select the best possible pages is also, as I said, to make sure sure that the content is matching the content quality in there with the top 10 ranking pages, because if your content is not the best possible resource on the given topic, then it's going to be more difficult for us to get links to it. So there's a couple of things that we do. We run the content through Surfer SEO, which is a content audit tool that gives the client some recommendations on things that they can fix on the page to improve the on-page optimization, but also things like internal linking to like get the link juice to flow better throughout the site. That's always helps. So yeah, I would say the main thing is to make the content actionable, to make it some kind of like newsworthy. And that doesn't mean that the whole article should be newsworthy. You can have some, for example, small paragraph inside the article with some new statistics, some new data or quotes that people can actually use to mention in their article with their link. So yeah, these small things. The other thing is media elements. So have like custom graphics, custom images, shareable kind of elements. So all these things that make the content more linkable and easily shareable with people. These always help. But yeah, the best thing is also to make sure that content matches the search intent and the content type. That's the most important thing. So you really need to figure out what the person that is looking for the target keywords is expecting to find and try to anticipate that. So the usual process is just to have a look at the top 10 ranking pages, try to do better than what they're doing, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes you might get away with just having a contrarian view or like a different perspective on the same topic, because Google is always testing results, you know, so it doesn't necessarily mean that what Google is showing you on page 1 is what it will show you in 3 months, for example. So it's always good to try and be different, right? So either better or different. Those are the two key factors, I think.
I love that. So what are some of the mistakes that early stage companies are making with regard to their growth strategies?
So I would say in terms of the mistakes for growth strategies in general, the key thing that we see a lot is in terms of content strategy. If we're talking about content marketing, they don't really have a content strategy well thought out, right? So they're just publishing content, targeting random keywords that they find interesting or that they think they might want to rank for. But at the end of the day, you really need to cover the 3 stages of the funnel, I think. So having a top of the funnel kind of content strategy, then a middle of the funnel and a bottom of the funnel, so that then you can guide your audience throughout the funnel and all the way to the conversion. So that's the main thing, having a content strategy that works. Otherwise, the links that we build are not going to do anything for you, because we can't really build backlinks to articles that are like, oh, we just launched this feature, you know, that doesn't do anything for anyone. So the other thing is finding product market fit. Some companies come to us and then we look at the website and it's not really clear what they're doing. The product is not very well defined yet. So we tell them like it's too early. Make sure that you define your product, that you find your audience first. And then once you have the content for that, then you can come to us. The other thing is maybe some companies rely too much on just one strategy for growth, right? So maybe they just rely on SEO. And so I think in the early stages, it's important to experiment with a few different things, maybe not too many, but just a couple of different tactics or strategies for growth. Figure out which ones work best for you, and then maybe you can do 80% on SEO, for example, if that's the best one for you, and then the rest 20% spread it out between maybe 2 other kind of tactics, you know. And the last thing is, I would say they don't track metrics or they don't track anything at all. So a lot of companies, when they come to us and we ask them for their input in terms of which pages have the most business potential, they don't even have anything in place to be able to measure that. And so we are kind of left in the dark, you know. So I would say these are the main kind of mistakes in terms of growth. In terms of content promotion in general, some other mistakes is some people focus too much on quantity versus quality. So maybe they use too much automation. They do like a shotgun approach in their campaigns, and that doesn't really bring them results. So what happens is they get discouraged and they simply quit and they stop doing promotion, which this leads to what I call the content graveyard. Basically, they say, oh, link building doesn't work, content promotion doesn't work, it's too difficult to do. So what they do is they simply get to a point where they quit and all the content will be left into page 1 and not really doing anything for them. And so they will simply keep pumping out content in the hope they will magically rank. But as you know, that doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I would say these are the key things. So a lack of strategy, a lack of maybe experimentation, and the other thing is finding a product market fit. That's probably the first kind of mistake.
Wow, it was super awesome breakdown. So as we wrap and as we close, if you were to give one piece of advice to software leaders who are trying to, grow and they've got SEO as a strategy and they want to make sure that they include link building in that, what advice would you give to them?
I would say to start out, make sure that you have product market fit. So you know your audience, you know the pain points of the audience, then create content that's targeting those pain points, because those are typically low-hanging fruit keyword with less competition. Try to rank for those, because that can give you some some revenue, like traffic and revenue pretty fast, considering the low competition. And yeah, then you can typically scale up from that. But yeah, start with the low competition, pain point driven content, and build up from that.
I love it. Great advice. This has been awesome, Alan. How can our audience learn more about you and Growth Gorilla?
Yeah, so the best way is to reach out to me on Twitter at AlanGGorilla, or you can find us on our website, which is mygrowthgorilla.com, or LinkedIn as well. I have my LinkedIn page, which is Alan Silvestri.
Okay, perfect. And we'll put all that into the show notes or in the description down below. So, well, thank you. This has been awesome, Alan. Really appreciate you coming in and laying it all out for us.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, it was good to connect as well.
Likewise. And everybody out there, thank you for coming. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You do not want to miss out on any awesome tips and tricks coming up in the next few weeks, like what Alan
Thanks for
just
listening
shared.
to
So hit that
Scale
subscribe
Your
button.
SaaS.
You'll be good to go.
For
And thank
more
you
help
coming.
on finding
We will
great
see you next
leads
time.
and
Take
closing
care.
more deals, go to mattwallach.com.